Well, as is our custom, you can share with me what topics you'd like me to cover today, topics dear to your heart, issues pressing on you, whatever the case may be, as long as they feel important to you and not just gratuitously throwing out words. Okay? What would it be?
A collective awakening, resentment, trust, consciousness.
Hold on. What was the last one?
Consciousness. Peace on earth. Expressing our gratitude.
Okay.
Keeping heart medicine for diversity. Holding.
Hold on. It's okay. What was the one before that?
Heart medicine.
No, somebody spoke back there at the same time. Does anybody on that side of the room have a request? Going once, twice, gone. Next.
Holding space.
Oh, now. Okay.
Holding space as a frequency for diversity. Because of pride. That sounds rich.
Okay. One more.
Truth.
Thank you. Good. It's funny. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Wow. You know, I'll start off with this. I had a few nights ago, I had this really incredible vision, and I was shown an event. It was kind of like something like in our, locally we have a high school theater, and it's a fairly large place. So it was a place like that, a large event, like a conference, and I was sort of back in the audience being shown Jesus, the Holy Spirit showing me this. So there's this conference going on, and it's like best teachings, deepest teachings. There were even a couple people, like comedic people, given short spots in there to be playful. Best musicians, so Jean Dumas and a few others were there, and it was this. You know, I was being shown all this, and it was like very, very beautiful. And I remember I'm standing there, and I'm like going, are you showing me this because this is an event you want us to create? You know, even though we've got the Daughters of Heaven, that's the greatest, that's the highest vibe event I've ever been part of, and I was in all of them. So I'm saying, is this an event you want us to put on, like a big amphitheater thing where the chairs, you know, angle up back like this, and we have all these different speakers? Is this something you want us to create, us? And then they said, no, you're already doing it at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. Isn't that cool? So I'm like, wow. And it was so beautiful because as I was standing there in the audience, sort of standing in the aisles, they're showing me this. And then they said, you know, you're already doing it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I was also witnessing the whole thing. And I saw myself on the stage doing my portion of a talk. And what I recall saying, which is kind of funny, but I remember watching myself teach the audience, and I said, this entire world is run by artificial intelligence. First of all, the world's an illusion, so it's artificial, but the ego is completely artificial. So the ego is running a fake world. It's an artificial intelligence running an artificial world. So this is what I was saying, and so I'm watching myself say this, you know, and I thought, wow, you know, and I'm going, who would want their lives to be run by artificial intelligence? The very words, artificial, should say something, but, you know, everybody's like, wow. So, but I'm saying this, and I'm also witnessing the music and a comedic line from somebody, and one of the things I really appreciated witnessing this entire thing was the camaraderie and the feeling that everybody was laughing together. Everybody was feeling the music together. It's not where some of these people like it, some of them don't. People are mumbling, they're bored. You don't have that kind of an event. It was everyone was doing everything together, connectedly, So they're all laughing. There's an ease to that. And that's not what you get from artificial intelligence. And I'm not talking about just AI technology. I'm talking about our choices in life, letting science, the world, politics tell us how to feel, tell us how to react to things. One of your comments, questions, requests is, peace on earth. You can't have that if you're run by artificial intelligence in the world, but you also can't have peace on earth. I mean, yes, AI could create a little meme that says peace on earth. That doesn't give you peace on earth. These are things we have to create, and it has to start within each of ourselves. As you're mentioning, like heart medicine. I mean, this is, there are 3 primary stages of spiritual growth. The first is where we're allowing our lower 3 centers control our lives. You'll know that that's happening when, root chakra, when you allow age, looks, sexuality, money, things of the primal nature to make a determination about how you feel today. You'll know your root chakra is running the show. When those things determine who you believe you are, because everything should be coming from who we believe we are, like spiritually. But we don't ask that. God, who am I? Instead, the root chakra just says, well, if you had a little more of this, if you had a little more of that, you'd be better. We have to let go of that. When you allow fear and resentment, hurt, unhealed wounds, then your emotional center's running your life. When you allow your intelligence, your pride of intelligence, thinking, just how brilliant you are, intellectual you are, how smart you are, that's the intellectual chakra. So the first stage of spiritual awakening is to recognize I'm still caught up in all of that. Now, the first stage technically is that you don't even realize you're caught up in it. That's just the average person. They just think this is it. Everything's determined by how much is in your bank account. They don't determine by how much they give, how much they have, how much they accumulate. And that's sleeping people. So the first stage of spiritual awakening is related to the first 3 centers, but the first part of that stage is to succumb to it and not even realize it's happening. The second part of that first stage of spiritual awakening, or the spiritual path or life path, is to realize it's happening and say no to it. Start improving. Start surrendering all your attachments to these things that you thought were important. That doesn't mean have nothing, lose out all the time, and show how beautifully spiritual you are because you've become such a victim of the world. It's not like that. You can still succeed, you can still thrive, but you just don't determine everything based on how much, quantity, and so on, of what you've got in your life. So this is nice because on the second stage, you're saying, I am absolutely committed. One of you is asking about consciousness. I'm committed to consciousness. I'm committed to waking up. And that means physically, emotionally, intellectually, because we're still dealing with the first stage of awakening, but we're not blind to it all. We're starting to wake up, so it starts to improve. Now I'm awake, I'm aware, and the things of sexuality, money, they just don't determine who I am anymore. The old resentments and so forth, no. I start to create healthier relationships. My body, my root chakra, I say to people, instead of when I'm asleep, I think body touching is going to give me something. Diet is going to give me some things of the world. Now that I'm waking up, I realize, wait, before you touch my body, you have to touch my soul. You have to move me at a deeper level or don't touch. But it's the same with food. Instead of obsessing on the right food to make you healthy, the food should resonate with your soul. It should feel right for you. You don't shame the Native Americans who ate meat and think you're superior because you're a vegan. Okay? How do you know vegan isn't just a code word for crazy people on another planet? So It's got to come from here. It's got to be right in here. I can feel this is right for me right now. This is my diet for me right now. Not preaching it to others, right? And it's the same with, the physical stuff, the sexuality, the finances. It's okay. There are going to be things that are going to be a little more of a struggle in this lifetime, and you'll straighten them out with God's help rather than on your own. Trying to fix your health on your own, your finances on your own, and relationships on your own, you just keep falling into a deficit somewhere and hurting again. Then crying out for help that was already there and always there, but we didn't reach for it. So on one level, I'm shifting into a healthier, lower 3 chakras still, first stage of my being, but I'm shifting to where health and everything, it's got to connect with my soul. Second chakra, relationships have to be healthier, more responsible. You can tell you're shifting from first stage dysfunctional relationships to second stage, healthier. It's nice. And it makes total sense. I want more responsible people. I mean, I know that they're cute. So you want to just overlook the weird, psychotic twitch they have, and strange weapons they keep, in the car, but he's good looking or she's pretty, you just got to go, wait, I'm not needy. I'm going to go for relationships that are an extension of fullness of my being, not emptiness, because then you need a relationship. Fullness means, what do you mean? I already have. So the third part of that, the intellectual chakra, there's no pride, but you're grateful that your life becomes more organized. Now that you're doing the healthier stage, or the healthier part 2 of that first stage of awakening. I'm shifting from all unhealthy physical, emotional, intellectual to healthier versions. So my mind is clearer. My communication is clearer. My life is a bit more together. It's not chaotic. That's not a good symbol. So as I'm saying this, tune in. Are you still like, no, none of that's happening for me. I'm still totally, in denial. And whether you think you like or dislike the first stage when you're still asleep, it's not a good one. There's going to come some point in your life where you go, there's got to be more. Helen, who wrote A Course in Miracles or channeled it, scribed A Course in Miracles, that changed everything. She brought through the course when she and a colleague said, there's got to be another way. And so if that's true for her, it's also true for you and me. Jesus and Mother Mary got together on the other side and said, you feeling it too? Yes. Let's go in and do something really powerful. You be a manifestation of the Mother, the universal God Mother. And I'll go in and be a manifestation of the awakened God, the Christ self. And, okay, I'm going in. She goes in, brings him forward and so on. It's an amazing thing. 2 or more gather, 2 or more with setting a great intention. Let's do something very powerful. And some people think they're all just here to hang out. I've been here for 30 years now. Maybe now I should have babies. Maybe now I should get married. Maybe. And none of that matters. All you're going to do is end up a miserable 30-year-old like most other 30-year-olds. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a connection with who you really are, nothing can really go well. You should be able to leave this world. I'm not saying you have to be the best-selling author, but you should be the best soul you can be. When you die, what have you given? Not how many houses do you have? How many houses did you give away? How many cars did you give away? How much money did you give away? How much time did you give? How many smiles did you give? And if you leave going, well, I would have, if I'd had more, then I would have, but I had to keep it close. After all, I grew up in the Depression, or I grew up with depressed parents, or whatever your story, they're going to go, oh, we're sorry to hear that. And they'll just pull a lever, boom, the floor drops open, and you drop back here, and you just got to do it all again. Let's try that again. And you die, and you go to the other side. Okay, wait, I know what you're going to tell me. I missed it again. I know, but it was really challenging times. The economy, boom, the lever, boom, and you're back again. How many lifetimes do you want to waste your time like that? So it's boom, you get it. I don't care what your financial condition, you can afford to smile. And somebody says, but I can't, I'm really hurting. Okay. You can afford to pull over and help somebody whose tire blew out. No, I can't because I'm on a bicycle and I don't have a car. Pull over your bicycle. Well, yeah, but it's got its own flat tires. You always stories and excuses. And all you're saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling or having that opinion, but I am going to say this. Keep those opinions and you will not grow. And you'll keep coming back under the same level you started on. There's got to be another way. And as Helen said with her colleague, he said, yes, I think you're right. And he ended the sentence with, and I'm determined to find that way with you. So when you have colleagues and friends, decide that this is where you want to go. I'm not saying you have to co-author a book or co-produce a movie. It could be that. But it could even just be, hey, I heard this talk today, so I'm calling you and saying this. Would you like to be committed to sane mindedness? If I'm sinking, can I call on you? If you're sinking, you can call on me. See what I'm saying? Like, have a colleague, spiritual colleague, to hang in there with each other. We have chaplains at this center, and they are told they should do that for each other. Whenever I've gone to conferences and festivals, we're the keynote speakers. We're just so special. And some of us have sold millions of copies of this, and some of us have invented that, and we have new technologies to teach on stage with stinking laser pointers and all kinds of cool things that look so fancy. Now, which is fine because that's where they're at. But what amazes me is, because I've always been an observer, and I walk into conferences and I see somebody who has spent lifetimes developing a craft, music, palm reading, whatever it is. And they're sitting at their table waiting. They've spent hundreds for that booth and they're hoping that some message goes to them today. You understand? That says that they have value. It was worth the journey and their commitment to learning their craft. And they're sitting there. I'll go over. Oh, can I get a reading? I don't even need a reading, and I'm going to get a reading. You know why? Because when other people see someone giving a reading, they're curious and they'll get in line and start signing up. And I would go to each booth and look at touch jewelry and, I'd swear to God, every time I'd go and do these things. And the next thing you know, 4 people are right behind me to look at that jewelry. I step back and I go to the next booth. Dang right, man. Dang right. Just tactical. Empty booth, 3 booth. We have an empty booth to the right. Over to that booth. And, I could be having a weekend where it's a struggle. I could have heard there's bills that I didn't pay before I left on tour. Stuff happens. But one of the things that carried me was always also considering how to be helpful to everybody. And some people, oh my God, how do you even do that? It's too much for me to, I know. And that's when you think of yourself as a very small being. You can't afford anything. You can't afford encouragement. You can't afford to give somebody a ride. You can't afford to pay a bill in a grocery store. And I know sometimes we can't. It feels that way. But give what you can. When I would leave a town, I would leave with many thousands of dollars because I'm on tour working there, doing, zillions of sessions a day, working hard. Many hours. But when I leave, I don't just go, oh, look at me, all the money. I leave and there's the sky caps at the airport and I'm tipping them each $50 to lift. I can carry my own suitcase. I don't even check stuff most of the time. But I'll do it just to have a reason to give them $50. They look and there's this shock. Good. Don't have a heart attack. But I'm glad you're shocked. I'm glad your jaw is open. And you're wondering, who are you? Why did you do this? And I would say, why, don't you deserve it? Or I would say, because you have value. I plant a seed, always. And that's one reason why I'm God's favorite. No, that just slipped out. Sorry. It's one reason why good karma. Haven't you figured that out yet? That doing good brings good? But I'm suffering and struggling too much, and I know, because I've been there. I know. And I've had those times when I invest in something. I invest in going on a tour or whatever it happens to be. And, you don't always see the funds reimburse, and it hurts. And you wonder, am I doing this? Why should I even do this? Or going through the dark night of the soul. After all your training and love and giving and teaching and the lives you transform, you shouldn't have the dark night of the soul anymore. What made you think that? You're still going to have a bill to pay. You're still going to have things happen. But what's amazing is, because you've done so much good, you're bright, man. Your light is bright. You're still going to have darkness to match the light. The greater the light, the darker the shadow. So stuff is still going to happen. But you should be asking yourself, are you applying all the consciousness you've achieved to deal with these things? Or are you still immediately losing faith when there's a challenge? Because then you're really faking the spirituality and still working on a primal level. And, a couple of you asked about resentment. You're going to feel those things. Things trigger. And they happen in cycles. You could be like, oh man, I'm so spiritual and everything's going my way and it's great. And God knows, whatever it is, it'll be a TV show, a movie, a song lyric. Something's going to be able to trigger you. It's going to happen. But it isn't an accident, and you're not a victim of it. You're seeing something in yourself that hasn't yet been brought completely to light. Yeah, but I wish that weren't happening. Thanks for sharing. But it is happening. Yeah, but I don't like it. Oh, but it's happening. So what are we going to do about it? And you can say, well, I refuse to apply spirituality because this shouldn't be happening. I'm mad at God. Great. How's that working for you? So look to the heavens. Try it, because I've done it once. Look to the heavens and say, I can't believe it. And God's like, hey, to the angels, check this out. They can't believe it. And the angels are, wow, isn't that funny? Humans, they can't believe it. But it's funny, when they get to the other side, they're standing here going, oh, because they can see it all more clearly, So it's a little humorous when you see things from the other side. In any case, if you get past this, I'm committing to a healthier life, physically, emotionally, intellectually, nice. I would assume that most people that are watching a program like this are at least at that level, instead of just, completely asleep and blind to what's happening. No, a commitment to a healthier life. That is beautiful. You can also choose that that's as high as you want to go. But if you decide there's another center, another stage, the second stage of your spiritual growth, and that is the heart center. And the heart center, like the first center, the first stage, has two parts, asleep and waking up. The heart center has two stages, or two parts. One of them is, oh man, I'm like moving into my heart. And it's kind of the stage of a light worker. I'm ready to now not just live a better life, but bring it. Now you're inspired to bring it out more, teaching more, sharing more. And it's pretty beautiful, because you're realizing there's so much more. We're all one. On the human level, even if you start to wake up, you're still in that first stage. So there's still a temptation to go, well, now that I'm improving my life, I want a partner, a soulmate. But it's still coming from a needy place, because you're still down here. When you go here, you start to smile a little more. Soulmate. Wait a minute. If we're all souls and we're all one, it means everyone is my soulmate. You don't go, where's my special one and only soulmate? And then that one doesn't work out. I need my other one and only. How many one and onlys can you have? It's kind of weird if you think about it. I mean, if there's a one and only and it didn't work, that should be all. You've used up your quota. Because they're one and only. And do you want to be the partner of someone that says, you're my one and only until next week, and now you're not their one and only? Now I'm being dragged into that. No, man, I don't want to be your one and only. let's just be one, right? Healthiness. So this second stage is you're starting to feel a call, like a light, it's light worker level. And you're feeling a call. And you're starting to think more as a soul, not a body, not a personality, a soul. So now, yes, soulmate, but I'm going to see it from a higher place. I don't want a cellmate I don't want a cellmate that imprisons me in karma or hard lessons. I mean, those are easy to find. You know, screweduppartners.com. Whatever. There's always a website for crazies, so go find it if that's all you want. But if you're saying, no, wait, I've done that. The cellmate that I'm imprisoned by, and that I sit there thinking to myself, how did I end up with this person? You're in prison. Like saying, how did I end up in prison? Yeah, I probably should have listened, when they said, do not drive 105 miles an hour. And now I'm in jail because I drove too fast. I probably should have listened. Yeah, that's good. But you're hurting now. What about the place where you now know? You know the laws. You know the truth. You don't succumb to the whims and wiles of fake relations and all that stuff. And one of you also asked about collective, and this is the level of the collective. This is where we're connected. Humanitarianism, brother, sisterhood, this is soul level. But there's two halves of this. So the first half, light workers. I'm starting to work on anchoring the light of God. I'm helping people find the light of God. I wrote about it. I wrote poems about it. I wrote songs about it. I told about it, whatever it happens to be. I'm a light worker, which means I'm lighting the path for others to get home. Very cool. And you don't settle. I don't just have a job, and I don't just have a partner. That's this level, first stage. I now know of soulmates and soul's purpose. The word soul shows up. I want to watch movies that move my soul, and I'm kind of like that. I just never really got into other kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm my fair share of something, something else, adventure, sensual, or whatever other topics, but primarily, songs, man. I could hear a song on the radio. It could be the most bubblegum, cheap, contrived pop music, but if I heard a line in there that had to do with surrender, spirit in the sky, and I'm not saying that's contrived, I'm just using examples. I'm saying it could be whatever the song, it's like Somebody to Love. That's a simple, I Want Somebody to Love by Queen. But because there's one part where he says, Lord, I'm like, what? God was mentioned. And I'd sit there and let me read the lyrics to see if there's more. That was me as a kid. Wait, what? Something spiritual. Anything. Hungry for spirit. Hungry for God. Hungry for healthiness. And when I saw families that were healthier in the neighborhood, those poor families, I was there, man, at their house all the time. And I know that I overstayed my welcome, and I feel embarrassed about it. But I did, because I knew healthiness. I saw it, and I wanted that in my life. Nothing wrong with craving good. But there's the appropriateness of, not taking it to other people's house all the time and just scratching at the door. 4 a.m. Can I live with you? Oh my God. But it is good to see that things aren't what isn't good in your life. And it's not wrong to long for something else, but just finding the right way to do it. And relationships, as we open up to who we really are, we attract healthier people. So don't go back and try to date stage one people. Try to find people that resonate with your soul, that move you at this level. And I don't just mean like pitter-patter move you. And I don't just mean stimulation move you. I mean that there is a greater love, depth, trust, right? Whatever things you have connected with that person. It could just be camaraderie. It could be conversational support. It can be sensual. And it might need to have its confidentiality. It might be open to where you're not life mates or live-ins. You have to figure those things out. But then stick to those things as best you can so that you're honoring that relationship. Soulmates and soul's purpose. I don't want a job. Why do you think the world has collapsed so much with jobs? Well, it's because I'm telling you, I said this decades ago that this is coming. If we don't know how to move into finding our soul's purpose, it all has to collapse. Because if you don't do things proactively, they have to collapse and you have to learn the hard way. So now people are going, it's weird. I don't work anymore. I work from home. That's different. A lot of people, they've all should have been working at home in the first place and stop building stinking skyscrapers. Right? These ugly eyesores for the most part. I mean, why can't you work at home? Why can't you be with your kids more if that's what you want to do? We should have always been more whole that way, feeding our souls. And I said when I came here and they asked me to be here, I said, okay, but there's certain things I would want if we had a center. Like, and it's weird, some of them are weird things, but I said, I don't want an office staff of people sitting there just typing. I want them to have playing music. I want them to be hearing music that they like hearing while they're working. I want them to feel happy. I want that vibe. And that's how it should be, working in your home. And I know there's reasons people can't always do that. I get that. But I'm just saying the world is collapsing in a lot of different ways because humans tend to learn the hard way. But all along, people are going, I don't know what I'm going to do. The business closed down. Well, how did you not see that coming? How did the human race not see it coming? That the world was economically, I know we call it COVID or whatever else. No, those are symptoms. It was waiting to collapse. And we used a disease as part of the carry, this host to bring it along. But the bottom line, guys, is we've all needed to find our soul's purpose. And some people are still waiting for another job or to die before they have to find another job. But what you want is your soul's purpose. Okay, but what is it? It's not a career, your soul's purpose. It can be a career, but it's not generally your career. It's how you live your life. Your soul's purpose is how you bring it, how you bring the presence of God. You see? Now, what's my soul's purpose? Well, I'm a spiritual leader. No, that's the manifestation. If you knew more about me, and I know there's one or two people that remember me from middle school and high school that watch every so often. And I'll say this, you can call and complain if I'm not telling the truth and say, I'm going to out this dude. Listen, they remember me in high school. I was the one that would just end up not drinking and driving people home. I was always like this in a different form. I thought when I got to be of age, 18 or whatever, I thought, you know what I'd like to do, man, for career, like for work? I want to be a florist. And everybody's like, oh, this kid, man. I'm like, well, why? Because it's colorful, it's scented, and you bring people flowers. See, and I'm doing it this form. But my soul's purpose was always about bringing the light of God. So I could have been a florist and did it. I could have been whatever else and done. I thought, for a little while, I was a student teacher's assistant. I loved kids. I just thought, this is kind of fun too. Beautiful. They loved me and I loved them and everything was great. But it was always me. And when people met me, I ran into one family that knew me from high school. And when I ran into them, like 10 years, maybe 15, 20 years, I don't know, after high school, they're like, oh my God, Michael, oh my God, you got to come to the house and see the, family and so on. They were one of the families I was scratching at the door when I was. And you got to come over, but don't stay too long. No, they didn't say that. But I went and sat down and they're like, so what do you do? Well, I don't say, well, I'm a spiritual leader. They might not even know what that means. So I just said, I'm a counselor. That's all. It's true. But I don't tell them everything. I just said I'm a counselor. And you know what they said? Oh, that makes total sense. You were always counseling our daughter when she was struggling in high school. You see? This has always been me. And I'm telling you, there's a part of you that's always been you. The healthy part. Look for the symptoms and tie them together. Tie together all the loose ends. I've always had a green thumb. I've always loved animals, whatever it is. Look at those strange loose ends that look like unconnected, disconnected things, and you start weaving them together and just breathe. Just, oh, that's starting to make sense. I've always been someone who picked up the pieces for people. That might be a direction we could look at. I've always been, it could be whatever, the problem solver, the counselor, the nurturer. Look for the themes, and that's more of your soul's purpose. So when you get to the heart level, you are more soul's purpose, soulmates, which is everybody, working compatibly with others. Now, that could be the highest you go. You might only go as high as the first half of the lowest stage, which is, I'm just going to stay messed up. You could go to the second part of the first stage of awakening, which is, I get it, and I want to, be healthier. Good. You can go to the next stage, the heart center. And the first part of the second stage is Lightworker, man. You start coming out and soul's purpose and soul. Great. And it might stop there. Well, what else could there be? There is something else. The daughters of heaven. Those who say, I'm not even just a light worker who shines the light and shows people, how to go, home and all that. I'm going to be the presence of home while I'm on earth. I'm going to be the presence of the Divine Mother. And these daughters of heaven, as we coined the phrase years ago, these daughters of heaven are completely like a whole other level, because they're not just talking it, they're becoming it. Now, here's an interesting thing about that. They feel a connection, a unique connection, the daughters of heaven. They're not like just, I just love everything. I love, crystals, ascended masters, whatever it happens to be. It's all cool, and that is cool. The daughters of heaven are like, I love all that, but I feel a greater devotion than anything else in my life to Christ, to Mother Mary, to the Divine Mother, to love. Like, wow. And it sounds like they're religious, but they're not, because that would be first level, healthier religiously. This is second level, second part. And why would the daughters of heaven be so uniquely tied in with Christ and Jesus and Mother Mary in seemingly traditional terms? The same reason as all the ascended masters honor Jesus, because they call him the master of masters. Yogananda had it together. He's a pretty evolved being, and yet he said Christ consciousness is the highest thing you can attain. People don't always get it. And if you decide to awaken this next half of your being, the second half of your heart, this means devotion to Christ. Why? And Mother Mary, why? Well, here's why. Because you're as high as you can get without yet being in the Christ center. Your centers, your awakening, your consciousness is so high in the heart. You're almost at the throat center, which is the Christ center. So how could you not be close to Christ if you're close to Christ? You see what I mean? So it's not an accident. And some people might think, oh, no, I'm a light worker. I'm into crystals and Saint Germain. Jesus and Mary, oh, that's religious stuff. No, what that means is they haven't gone higher yet. They're still looking at Jesus, Mary, and whatever as being traditional religious stuff, which is their unhealed wounds. Unhealed wounds are found here, not here. If you have any residual wounds, they will be shown to you when you try to go to this level. Because that's one of the bummers about the heart center. Is it's like, oh, really? Oh, you want to be all heart and love. You're like, yes, I just want to, I'm going to wear purple and, and just be all floaty and talk really breathy. And the heart's like, yeah, I would strap in if I were you. Because it's going to fire up the flame, and you're going to be purging everything that you falsely took to this level thinking, I'm done with all that. Look at me, I'm spiritual. It'll be like, oh, let's see. And that's an odd thing about the daughters of heaven. Because the daughters of heaven, any of us, it's not a club, but any of us who feel that unique connection, it's so nice to hear that there's colleagues, that there's other people that feel this. Mother Mary, Christ, and all, but you can't say it a lot. Why? You get ridiculed. Why? Because the people that ridicule you are still down here with their unhealed wounds. So they're going to talk Jesus, but they don't have the Christ awakening yet. So it's a little challenging. And there are people, I've only known, of all the people I've seen in the last years of awakening this concept of daughters of heaven, let's pretend there's 1,000 of them. I've only known a couple that have ever fallen away from it. And there's a very similar pattern between these couple, and it's very simple. They're usually people who want to believe, like when something goes on, when they're getting tested and when they run into some conflict with another person, they refuse to practice love and taking responsibility. They pull back into, no, it's not me. And that's not a daughter of heaven vibe at all. They could have been thinking they were the highest of all the daughters, if somebody was crazy enough to think such a thing, the highest of all the daughters of heaven, and yet there's the evidence right there. Did you do your work? Because daughters of heaven, they're not just light workers doing their work. We're supposed to be holding this presence as our first default program. Love and forgiveness, responsibility as our default program. That's where I'm going to go. When you default to, I want to be right rather than happy, you're choosing poorly. Are you bad? No. You just drop down a notch, be a light worker, because light workers can do that. There are lots of light workers on the planet that still watch the news and sit there and grind their teeth because of what they're seeing. Because light workers aren't at that next level of commitment, so they can get away with it. As long as they're at least still, the majority of their life is still doing light work. And if that's not happening, they'll drop down yet another. The evidence would be they're dropping down even another level. I'm just a human who's working on getting my life to be a little bit better. And I know it would be better if this guy won the election instead of that one. If this, not that. And this goes across the board in all areas of our lives. I'm seeing that we're going to do that as our meditation. But is this making sense so far? Yeah. What's the third stage of spirituality? Up here. What do I do to... Shh. This has nothing to do with you. No, but I need to be deciding whether... No, you're down here now. This is silence, surrender to God. This is, oh my God, this is wonderful. And just surrender. You don't have control of this, and you shouldn't want control of this, because this is the part where God is. I don't define it. I don't choose the quantity of it. I surrender. And the Holy Spirit meets me in this place. The Holy Spirit meets you here, but her purpose is to take you up to this place where you visit. You don't reside forever. What? Yeah. While you're on earth, you visit heaven until you have no more reasons to visit earth, which comes from not having reasons to visit your issues, your limiting beliefs. You can't take those to heaven with you. They're limiting, and heaven is unlimited. So think about that. And one of the things you guys asked about, expressing gratitude. Please try to express gratitude all the time. Not just lip service, but truly feel it, truly mean it. Tell people how much you appreciate them. As often as you can. Even we had a board, the last time we had a board meeting, a luncheon kind of thing. There's this, the host or whatever they call it at a restaurant, she brought us to her table and all that. When we left, I said, I just want you to know that you're always dressed beautifully. Now, I sometimes have to make it clear. Listen, I'm not hitting on you or anything so that people don't think there's weirdness. But you always dress so beautifully, and you have such, or whatever it is, you have a bright smile. Always, even the way somebody carries themselves. If I see it, I'm going to say something. And if I don't say it with words, I will in here. Give thanks for their presence. I see what you're doing, and it's really beautiful. I see how you're handling that situation. You see? It's beautiful. And I've had that happen many times in all my years flying and touring and all that. Oh my God, a story I've shared, and I'll be very brief with it, but the bottom line is we've arrived very late into what I thought was hell, but it was Miami. Hot, humid, it was very late. No offense to Miamians. But it was really hot, and everybody was very frustrated because we had delays, flight delays. Now we got there, and the rental cars places are closed, and Everything's, and then they announce on the PA they've lost all our luggage. Yeah. So I have to be somewhere. I'm going to be doing a Sunday service at a church in 8 hours. And all I usually wear when I'm not standing here are shorts and a t-shirt. And I'm thinking, I don't know, man. I don't know how that's going to go. Because even if I tell them, here's what happened, they find it to be unprofessional for some reason, for me to show up at the podium, So I'm like, this isn't good, man. Like, I'm worried, but I'm like, they're all getting in line. Hundreds of people getting in line to file their report for their lost luggage. I'm like, well, I could be first in line or last in line. Either way, where am I going to go if I don't have a rent-a-car? So I ran to the rent-a-car places as they were closing, and I got the last chance, a car. Good, got a rent-a-car. Now I'm going to go get in line with all the other miserable people. And so, there's this guy in line, and everybody's in line. This one lady, her baby's upset, and it's, and it's midnight or whatever, and people are just agitated. But listen, that's this world. People are constant. They have this agitation level for having to be here. And so the baby's agitated. What the baby's really saying, because it can't speak yet, is, I don't want to be here. I know, honey, but you are. So we're going to just adapt. So the baby's crying, the mother's embarrassed, and there's a guy, one of those irritable guys in line. Ma'am, could you get your baby to be quiet? And the baby's like, come on, honey, stop, And I go, and this happens a few times. And she's like, swatting the hand of her older child, but child, mommy, what do we, and she's dealing with it, stop it, and shh, and on and on. So finally I go, lady, why don't you hit the guy who's complaining instead of the baby? Isn't that cool? I'll say anything sometimes, So I said that. Everybody laughed, and it was kind of cool. Now, it all eased up. And here's what they do. Can you describe your luggage? It has 2 wheels, a handle, black fabric, or whatever. And they just write it down, and I'm not kidding. And then they slide you a cellophane thing with toothpaste and toothbrush. We'll contact you in the next few days. And you leave to go where with your toothbrush? How's that going to get you a rent-a-car? How's that going to get you to your hotel? What, right? This is what they're doing. Here you go. And I'm thinking, but I'm praying at the same time. When you are in your day-to-day life, even stuff that you're involved in, let alone seeing other people, you can still be holding presence. And one of you asked about that. Holding presence. So I'm holding presents. Now I get up to the counter and the lady goes, thank you. And I'm like, what? For what? She goes, I saw what you were doing out there. Someone noticed. You understand? They're always watching you. Kids are watching you. Animals are watching you to see if they should be scared, if they should react, if they should be worried. Everybody's always watching you. Well, aren't we always watching each other? Sure, that's a generic thing. I'm telling you, when you start improving your life and you start becoming a light worker, and especially if you go, I want to be one of the daughters of heaven that is committed to being the presence of God, people catch on and they're watching you even more. Act like a loony and you're really blowing it for people because they're needing God. Everybody is needing God and you blew it. Now we all slip, but how often? And do you apologize and make amends? A couple of these particular folks into the Daughters of Heaven conference concept, no apology, no amends, just stubborn. Okay, then gone they go. But what are you doing with this stuff? Do your best to make that difference. Do your best to shift the moment. This lady says, I saw what you did, thank you. That felt really great. I still don't have pants, but that felt really great. It felt great. And you know what happened next? Because someone changed the frequency. Someone entered a different vibe. She goes, you know what? Hold on a second. And she went to the room to her right, my left. She went over here. She went, and then there was a door on this side of their counter. She opened it. She said, sir, can you come here? I said, sure. I mean, what else am I going to do at midnight in Miami? So I go in the door, and she goes, are any of these luggage yours? I go, yeah, that one and that one. She goes, okay, take them. I pick them up. I go by the hundreds of people that are still in line, and I go, hey, our luggage is in that room. Yeah. But you understand why? Well, because I'm just special, and God was like, Michael, you really deserve your luggage. No, it's because someone changed the tension. Someone changed the vibe in the room. Change the vibe in the room, then the vibe changes. And now stuck stuff starts to open up. The surgeon that can't get this to work, they're losing their patient. To take a moment and say, I don't know, you know. And to say, by the way, nurses, if we lose them, you've all done a great job. Change the vibe in the room. You need 2 or more, you and anyone else. And when there's no one else, you and God is someone else. Do something different. Change the frequency. Make a difference. Making sense? God bless you. Thank you. Please take a few centering breaths. What did you hear today? What meant something to you? Whatever it was, breathe it in. Let it make a permanent change in your heart and soul. What level do you believe you're at? Are you at the first stage? Remember, 2 levels at those stages. Are you at the really primal level of hurt and hate? Or the second level, the second part of the first stage? I'm changing my life. Well, good for you, man. Good. That is the voice of God speaking to you, wanting to change your life. That's why you started going to the study group, the book study, 12-step groups, and so on. Because it's time, even though you're still on the material level, to change your life for the better. Nice. Or are you at the level of the heart where you're like, it's time to be a light worker, make a difference. Be excited, but bring a change. Go and touch the jewelry of that person in the festival so that they get attention and energy to their craft. Go get one of those on-site massages so people can line up to be next. You're helping, always helping. As much as you can afford physically, emotionally, energetically, financially to do, then do it. Make a difference. It feels awkward to be that person trying to bring that change and be standing there alone. I'm telling you, from experience, it's scary to be alone at all in this universe. But even for those that are trying to bring a change and they're not getting the energy yet, the attention yet, help them. Please reach out to them. Not just those in need, obvious, but those who are trying to make a difference. Thank them. Tell them thank you in some form. Or are you at the level of being prepared to proclaim, I'm a daughter of heaven? It's okay to be close to the mother. It's okay to believe in the work of Jesus, the consciousness of Christ. It doesn't mean religion, fundamentalism. It's a consciousness that all the greatest souls said it's our destiny to achieve. Breathe that in. Where are you? Where can you improve, make improvements to go from one level to another? Just sit with it. And whatever level you choose, whatever level you believe you're at or are seemingly at, just own it. Soak it in and give thanks for it. Don't shame yourself. If that's the level you're at, go for it. But are you ready for anything more? And just watch it. Just see it. Feel it. Believe that you can go to another level. Know that you can go to another level. Know that the Mother welcomes you, honors you at any level you're at, but welcomes you to dare to try to go to the next level. In advance, I give thanks to all human beings who will now begin to mirror to me my value, my worth, that I can be spiritual and a single mom, that I can be single and not alone, that I can be without a partner and still be beautiful, handsome, courageous, wise. I can not have written a book and still know so much. It's okay. Feel the celebration in your heart. Try it. Feel the celebration in your heart. Feel the yes factor. What if it's there? What if it's all together and I just wasn't claiming it? Claim it. One or two hands on your heart. Holy Spirit, my Divine Mother, I was just wasting time evaluating where I was and wasn't, thinking from just such a human perspective. Silly. I'm ready to commit. I'm going to step up either to the first, ready to be a healthier human. Got it. And I'm going to sit there for a little while. Or I'm ready to go to the next, to be a light worker. Can I do it? Great. If I can, yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm ready. Give me the torch and I'll hold it. And I'll be a light worker. I'm going to commit to doing my readings, my healings, or just being the sane mother in the neighborhood that kids can come to, whatever it is. Whatever form, being kind to others. Or maybe, daughters of heaven, it's time for me to rise. And I know I can say I'm ready to be a daughter of heaven, but if I still lack responsibility, love, self-worth, then I know I fall again. So make a responsible choice there. But I give thanks to you, Divine Mother, Mother Mary, angels, masters. I give thanks to you, Archangel Michael and others, my own angels and guides. I give thanks that you're welcoming me all the way to the top level of my heart, where I knock at the door of the Throat Christ Center. And you said, if I knock, the door shall be opened. I wait. You decide when, where, and how much, my Lord. Yes. To you, Jesus, my elder brother, symbol of awakening, to the Christ that I am. To you, Father, Mother, God of the highest heavens, I give thanks that this is all just a strange story we've been living out that depicted our amnesia. And that as that fades, we all get to remember our oneness in God. In advance, I give thanks for this. And I can feel the heart level gratitude of every soul that has ever existed. That another one besides Jesus, that's me, you, any of us, are stepping up to say, forgive us, we knew not what we were doing. And instead, I choose to only think thoughts what God would have me think. I choose to only feel feelings God would have me feel. I seek to only know what God would have me know. The self that used to think, that used to decide, react, it's fading to a whole new level today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. So let's just center into that now, please. How's everyone feeling? Good, good. It all makes sense, doesn't it? Right? Let's extend our appreciation to John Dumas. Arigato. John-san. What did you hear or learn today that made the most sense? Can anyone share?
We like that.
Lots. Anyone else? Yes?
When we integrate all of our parts, we become into our soul's purpose.
Yeah, when we integrate all these parts, we're, especially the knowing, our soul's purpose, it was always there. And it starts to gel and make sense. But, take the time to look for it, look at it. Edgar Cayce said, no soul will ever feel fulfilled unless they know their soul's purpose. And that means it's kind of essential. Why don't we know it? Oh, because God hid it from you. No. But maybe it's not an accident. Maybe it's because the soul's purpose is of this center, and maybe you're still somewhere else. You follow? And that doesn't mean I'm criticizing. I'm just saying maybe own. Okay, this takes responsibility to have your soul's purpose. So maybe I need to commit more to being a soul instead of a person. Don't react like a person to the physical, emotional, intellectual control trips. And then rise, you'll be able to rise more to being a soul. Then you'll coincidentally find your soul's purpose and your soulmatishness with everybody. Who else wanted to share? Yes?
I like the Eddie Arnold song, Welcome to My World.
Eddie Arnold song, Welcome to My World. Welcome to my world.
The door will open.
Knock and the door will be opened. Yes.
When you talked about stopping and recognizing people and appreciating them, I realized that I could do that more.
You realize you could appreciate people more, thank them more. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is. I mean, I can see like somebody, a certain color. Oh my God, I love that color. It's like, it's amazing. But it's not fake. It's not just like you blurt words. You really feel appreciation for that person doing that work, for that person wearing that outfit, for the way that person smiles. It's an amazing thing. And human beings are funny about it. Because when they get these, they either brush them off or they take them strangely.
Yeah.
What do you want? Who had their hand up? Yes.
There's many ways to change the vibe frequency in the room, and I don't even think of half the things you brought up today.
Good. You're welcome. Yes.
To hold sacred space for chaotic or difficult circumstances.
To hold space during chaotic or challenging circumstances, which is similar to the gentleman one moment before that. I'm saying this for people online as well. So many different ways you can change the vibes in a room. And some people oh no, I don't want to upset anybody. Other people are like, it doesn't even occur to them because they're so in the first stage, the lower half of the first stage, it doesn't occur to them. But even the people moving up a little, first stage, the second half of the first stage, they're still thinking, oh, I don't want to impose, and that's okay. But man, if you're gonna graduate to the first part of the heart center, you start saying, I don't care. I'm gonna make a difference. I'm gonna bring a difference. And you just start doing that. Here, you're still worried about what they think of you because that's your thinking chakra, worried about what they think. And I'm not saying you push stuff on other people. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying you go into a church of a certain faith and stand up and say, I think you all need to believe differently. You don't stand up in the middle of a Southern Baptist church and go, why don't we all try light language? They're going to be like exorcisms on you immediately. So, you don't try to push stuff, but it's learning to feel guided and be, wow, the hands, eyes, ears, mouthpiece of the Holy Spirit. But even that people twist and call themselves that, and then they do harm with it. So you hang back until you really know this is a win-win. This is making a difference. I'm bringing a greater good. And if I see it triggers, okay, maybe I was mistaken and hang back. Don't blame them for not appreciating your presence. Hang back. Maybe you brought too much. And it's okay. Be responsible. Ooh, sorry about that. And hang back. You see, it's beautiful. And getting to that place of daughters of heaven, wow, those who come to the altar and say, here I am. And they bow before heaven, which is upper three centers, and say, what would you have me do? How could I be your presence today? And it's not as much action, although it can be, because you're still a light worker. It's, wow, it's a countenance. It's a grace, like something entered the world. And yes, so many different ways that can appear. Levity, presence, smiles, don't know. But before we leave this earth plane, we're going to go from, I'm not sure, I don't really want to do any of that because it could upset, to, yes, I do that. And it grows and it grows. And then that becomes not just a that I do, it's what would you have me do? And God can say, smile, but I don't have any teeth. I know. Smile anyway. And next thing you know, your toothless smile lit up a room. And you're going, I didn't know that could happen. Yes, you have no idea what various things God can work through with you. You never know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. One limb's missing. God's going to work through you, and that will become the pivotal piece that was needed. You did a better thing in this moment with one arm than someone else could do if they had 6. Because you said, what would you have me do? One arm used perfectly. And it's amazing. Right? All right, thank you. We're going to take up our collection and do our closing prayer. Please be as generous as you can be. And folks online, God bless you. Thank you for the donations you share with us. It means a lot to us. So just put in the bags your donation. The baskets are for extra donations, anything else you can afford, for people of lesser means or for special projects, okay? So let's hold our love offering to our heart. And together we pray, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. Thank you. Please stand for our closing prayer. How are you feeling? Cool, huh? Yeah. Spirit of God, man, it's just so nice. Those of you who are new and first time here, we just pray that it feels easy to kind of enjoy and absorb. And I do sometimes feel the awareness that, I think some of these sharings, I think, are a lot for some people. They might be very new to some of this, and it, you know, it's out there. It's mind-blowing to some, and I appreciate your patience, all right? Just soaking in a sense of gratitude. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Please check out our bookstore if you have time, and we'll see you all soon. Blessings.